Hey everybody, this is Dr. Tom Moorcroft, and I'm here today to talk to you about the biology of trauma with Aimie, a great friend of mine. And one of the reasons I love talking about this in the Lyme community is, we go through all these challenges where people are being gaslit, they're being told they don't have something, they're losing friends and careers, and just having chronic illness for such a long time can be such a big emotional toll. And we all know the importance of emotion, of the nervous system regulation and getting back into your body. And I know no one better to tell you about it than Dr. Apigian. So Aimie, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. And as I think of the Lyme community, it is true, there's been so much medical trauma. They have experienced trauma within that relationship of trying to find answers, and people don't believe them. Their medical providers think that they're crazy. And just the process itself of trying to find answers can be so overwhelming and creating a sense of aloneness and despair and discouragement and feeling powerless. And so I think that it often can tend to just compound the symptoms that they're already dealing with.
Right. And one of the things that I love so much is that you come at this from a perspective that's very simple, very actionable, and things that, because I feel like my community is so, having been a person who's suffered with chronic Lyme and Babesia, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so tired. It's just one more thing I need to do. Whereas when we talk and the people that we refer over to your program, it's just like, this is actionable and we get real results. So can you tell us a little bit about how you kind of get into that and make that happen for people?
Yeah. Well, I started with trauma when I became a foster parent. So very similar, where it's like, don't give me your ideas,
right.
Don't give me your theories, don't give me another evidence-based trial that's been done. I need to know what works right now. I need practical tools.
Yeah.
And so that's always been my approach then as it came to trauma. And I didn't study trauma from the beginning. I had my own journey before I discovered that, no, I really want to study trauma and its impact on the body. But then that was what was so important for me to bring, is this is what to do about it. Because that's another aspect of just the sense of powerlessness that we can experience. Is I feel my emotions driving me. I feel my emotions kind of spiraling out of control. I feel like I'm spiraling out of control. What do I do? Give me something that will work right now in the moment. Otherwise, it's not going to work to call my therapist and make an appointment for next week.
Right.
How can I shift my nervous system right now into a sense of safe enough right now, rather than living with this ongoing dysregulation that is only going to compound the symptoms that people experience.
Yeah, I feel like I'm I can reflect back when I was a patient, and all the conversations I've had with people where you're like, oh my God, I feel that. I remember sitting in the chair going, oh my God. And it's just like, it's almost like just recognizing that you have this trauma going on and this chronic condition makes it even worse. So how do we kind of start to move in a direction where we can take that action, and really feel safer, and then like we have a choice in this, at home now?
Things got real for me when I switched into addiction medicine. Because when I had a person who's dependent, right? Call them an addict or whatever label you want to say, refer them to. But I had someone who was dependent on a substance, and they had used that for so long to find immediate relief of something uncomfortable. And here I was, Tom, saying, you really shouldn't do that anymore. And they're like,
thanks, Doc.
Exactly. I'm going to continue to use that until I have something better that I can do, that I don't need that. That is not my problem. It's the emotional chaos inside that's the problem. I'm just seeking some relief from that. So I realized that I needed to give them something that would be so simple that even they could do after a trigger hit. It would be so quick and effective that they would be like, oh, I don't need that substance that I've always relied on to find my safe place. Now, I found that the somatic exercises were the fastest way for somebody to shift their own nervous system in the moment without me. Because they're not with me.
Right.
They're only with me in session, and I can create that safe space in session. And in session, they're going to be like, Dr. Aimie, this is so amazing, and I'm never going to use again. Until you have that fight with your spouse, until you have that traffic accident, until you have that next
bill
thing.
You have to pay that you weren't planning on.
And then things fall apart again. And so this was a way for them to have exercises that are so simple and powerful and effective that they could use them in the moment and within 60 seconds shift their own nervous system without needing me.
That's the part I love the most, because a lot of people create programs and protocols that are dependent on the practitioner, and that's really good when you're with them, which is not most of the time.
Exactly.
And I'm always trying to tell people, I want you to have a better relationship with yourself and feel safe in yourself, because you're with you all the time. I'm only with you for this amount of your life.
Right. And when you look at the amount of time that a nervous system spends in either survival mode or safety mode, that's the then direct equivalent to how bad their symptoms are going to be.
Yeah.
And so I know that as much as possible, let's get their biology, let's get their nervous system in the safety mode for as much time as possible. And why I share my nervous system journal in the book then is so that people can start mapping out their own nervous system states, be able to tell how much time they're in survival state. It surprises most people that most of the day they're
in
either
survival,
in stress
right? Yeah.
or overwhelm. And then they can start tracking their progress as they start doing these exercises to see, did I spend one more hour in safety mode today? Right? We're not trying to go from all survival mode to all safety mode. We're trying to just do one step at a time. One step at a time, one micro moment of safety at a time.
And I think of it like as a siphon. I talk to people this all day, even when we're removing toxins and emotions that are negative, are toxins. And I'm like, I just want you to have a little more toxin out today than yesterday. Like, a little bit.
Yes. And we do that because it's a neuroscience principle that too big of a change, even if it's for the good, is still too much, too fast for the body. So even if it's a good thing, we still pace it at the level that my body's able to keep up with the change and adapt to the change today. So we do micro moments of safety. That's what we start with.
Micro moments of safety. I absolutely love that, because I took a deep dive into this thing, because the whole concept is called hormesis, right? It's like a little bit of stress is good, but a lot's not. And I found there were like 1,800 or so articles showing that the optimal change is about 20-25%. Which is not really that much, and it's micro.
But yet, what do people do these days, right? Like, feel the fear and do it anyway. We're going to go all the way. Go big or go home is another saying.
Yeah.
And it's like, please don't. When it comes to your body, when it comes to your nervous system, that is the worst advice that we can be giving ourselves, or if we're practitioners, giving to our patients.
Well, and one of the things I think is so important, and I want to loop back to our Lyme people in a second, but is practitioners, I urge you to all do this yourselves, because you need to lead by example. If you are in survival all day, your patients know it. You can't be that guiding light. And that's the part I love about you. It's like, you're driven, you work hard. I know how much work goes into a book and all the other work behind it, but it's balance. And you push when you need to push, you pull it back, and you find that those micro moments of just being totally in touch with yourself, and you find the place where your nervous system is like, oh, this is what real life's about.
Yes, and people imagine like what it could be like to navigate life as a friend with your nervous system and your body. You're aligned with it. You're friends with it. So you're on the same team. And you're like, what do we need right now? Is this at a good level right now? Do we need to pull back right now? Or can we escalate right now? You don't know those things until you actually are an expert in your own nervous system. Otherwise, you're guessing. And I used to guess wrong all the time. And I would overshoot it and then crash. Or I'd not show up to the degree that I really was possible to show up for. And I would disappoint myself.
This is what's so interesting to me, because I think about people with Lyme disease and other chronic tick-borne infections, mold illness, even parents of kids with PANS and PANDAS. And what happens is, like, they feel their body betrayed them, which I will guarantee you, it never betrays you.
It is only helping you survive.
It really is. And when they sit down, they're like, I'm afraid of if I get a Herxheimer, if I overdo it, so they don't push. Or they're like, I've been sick for so long, I push too hard.
Exactly. And this is how I find patterns of stored trauma in the body. How I find stored trauma patterns is this idea of either you overreact or you underreact. But you're never responding in the right way, with the right intensity, at the right time, to the right reality.
Yes.
And so this is one way that people can know that their body has this stored trauma, that it's a part of their syndrome. Trauma becomes chronic and it becomes a syndrome. And this is how we can see it, is that, do I have this pattern of overreacting or underreacting in my relationships in my life, with my professional work and my career, with myself? And when we see these same patterns that are happening in our physiology, that's when we're seeing this is a pattern that's much more than just my body. This is a pattern that's showing up in many areas, and this is how we can trace it back to nervous system.
So I have this interesting question in my mind, because I see it all the time, but how do you define trauma?
What a great question. Now, as a physician, what I was taught was I take an ACE score, or an adverse childhood experiences score.
Yeah.
So I'm sure many of you know about this.
Right.
You can calculate your score, and it's based on a series of questions of what happened to you, basically. What kind of experiences have you had? And I used to think that this meant being trauma-informed, to get out this ACE score and go through these questions.
Do the checklist.
And then I realized that I was holding trauma because it was showing up in my health with being diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and discovering autoimmunity. And I realized that I hadn't realized that I had trauma because I didn't have any of these
things from the ACE questionnaire.
Right. So that was when I realized I actually don't know what trauma actually is to the body. So I started my deep dive study of the nervous system. What is that? And what's interesting is that there is a line in our nervous system of what will be a stress and what will be a trauma, because we've crossed that line. So the most helpful thing for a person is to know, when and where do I cross that line? What are the things that make me cross that line? And it comes down to two categories of things. Too much, too fast. We've already alluded to that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's a bad thing, a good thing, it's too much, too fast. Too much, too fast will make us cross a line. Too little for too long is the other one. And I guarantee you that all of your Lyme patients, all of your mold, all of your tick-borne, once it becomes a syndrome, their biology is in a state of too little for too long as well. It's been too little, too long of energy, of mitochondrial efficiency, of magnesium perhaps, or all of these imbalances that we can develop in our biochemistry and our nutrient status. And we're asking ourselves to keep performing for us when they're looking around being like, but you haven't given me what I need. And it's just been too long. For a day, for a week, our body can be like, okay, we're running on fumes, but I can push for you. But if we never fill the tank back up, there will come a time when we will cross that line. So crossing the line is too much too fast, or too little for too long, or the combination of the two.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think that's what I see a lot in our patients, is like they have moments of both. And even when people talk about fight, flight, or freeze, it's like you don't live in freeze forever, but you're kind of going back and forth between the fight, flight, and freeze. And so I do think it's this balance. And I think that's what people are like, I have a little energy, I'm going to go for it. And then they crash. And then they don't do anything and they crash more. And they're like, I always crash. So how do people start to address that? Because I mean, a lot of our people just feel like there's a weight on their back. It's like they can't breathe. And I mean, I'm not talking about the symptoms of air hunger. I mean, just like they're just overwhelmed. And
yeah, so when we are in overwhelm, it's a very different strategy than if we are in the energy and stress state. When we're in overwhelm, the body needs three things. It needs energy. So we need to actually look at how can we support our mitochondria right now? What are the things that I could do that would take away the things that are draining my energy, just so that I can allow my body a little more energy? 20% more would be great. But it also needs a sense of safety. This is what we forget about. Once we go into overwhelm, it's like our body is a turtle that has pulled back and retreated into its shell. And what we have done is we've pounded on the shell to say, come out of your shell. I need you to perform for me. You're betraying me. What's wrong with you?
Why aren't you working?
Why aren't you working? You're supposed to be moving down, the trail or the sand. And the turtle's like, well, it's definitely not safe to come out because you're pounding on the shell. And so this idea that back to the safety, back to creating moments of safety that allow us to be more tolerant of those moments of safety, because we have gotten so used to our stress. We live in that stress until we collapse. We don't know.
And we think it's normal. It almost feels normal.
It feels normal. It feels normal.
And it's not safe to get out of that.
It's not going to be safe to allow our body to open back up, because our body has been hurt, our body has been betrayed, our body has been overwhelmed with panic and terror. And so it's retreated, and this is the process of allowing our body to feel safe enough to open back up to life again. Because it's afraid of getting hurt again. Why would I open up if I'm going to get hurt again?
Yeah.
It's better to just stay closed down, to stay guarded, keep my walls up. And so the first step is always, always, always safety. How do we make our body feel safe enough to open back up?
Yeah.
And that's where so many people are missing that step. They're jumping to the other phases of the healing journey, which do come later, but they're missing that first phase, which is why nothing works. Because they're trying to force their body into wellness rather than inviting their body into safety that allows the natural healing strategies of the body to be engaged.
I think it's so well said, because I mean, part of it is like, I think we try to tell the body to heal on our time frame.
On our time frame, with our protocols.
With our brain. And it's like the brain is thinking in a way that got me to where I am now, but not to where I want to be. And so I'm going to keep doing more of this to get, wait, that got me there. It's not going to get me over here. So we have to think differently.
But we keep thinking that if I only do it harder, if I only try harder, if I only find that one magic bullet that I've been missing.
Or I read in the Facebook group that somebody said do this or do that, and so I'm going to try that, and I'm going to tell my doctor, who's got 15 years of experience, what I should be doing, rather than trusting the expert in the protocol and learning to trust my body. It's like, I feel like people put it outside of themselves, like the healing is someone else's job.
But isn't that part of the trauma response?
For real.
It is, right? Like we're still looking for somebody outside of us to make us feel safe, because we have lost our sense of safety. And so part of the work for me is saying, you can create that within yourself.
Yeah.
You don't even need me. I don't want you to need me. I will show you how to do this for yourself, so that no matter where you go, you are having your own safe space, because you've created it within yourself.
Yes.
And you have that relationship with your body, that your body can start telling you, this feels aligned with what we need right now. This does not feel aligned right now. But we've lost our intuition with our body, because we've become so disconnected that we can't even trust our intuition.
Yeah. So for people who, because I think I want everyone to really digest that, because what we're saying is it's not your fault.
Yeah.
It's part of the trauma response. However, you also are the person who is responsible for doing the work to get back in here. We're here to help you. And I think this is a really important point for people, is a lot of people are like, but I don't deserve it. I'm like, you don't.
You don't.
But you're here.
So
how do you how do you answer that question, you know?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's very needed, especially for those people who may have a history of things happening to them in their childhood. We cannot control the past. We cannot change the past, whether it was something that was done to us or something that we were a part of that we regret now. Either way, we cannot change the past.
Right.
We cannot change what was done to us. We cannot change the impact that it has had on our body. But as you say, we're here now. What are we going to do about it now?
Yeah.
And that is where I have 5 agreements for those coming into my courses. I put them in my book.
Nice.
Agreement number 3 is personal responsibility.
And it's hard, but you're so freaking worth it.
Exactly. And that's what we also need to work with when we are working with your trauma response, because I guarantee you every person with chronic trauma believes that they are not worth it. They have a voice that may say, yeah, I know that I'm worth it. But then when they try to do things that are self-care, even just leave it at that, self-supportive, then they seem to go into this self-sabotage. And they notice that they don't actually believe that they are worth the money, worth the effort, because they're expecting themselves to fail and they don't want to face another disappointment.
It's understandable.
Totally understandable. And that's, again, like for me, when I see that, it's like, Well, of course, because we're working with chronic trauma. Like, this is what chronic trauma creates. So for me, it's just one more sign of how much trauma their body is holding.
Well, and I think what's so important is that as you're saying that, I'm like, oh, when chronic trauma leads to more chronic trauma.
It does.
So what I'm so enthusiastic about to sit down and talk about today is that we actually have a key to unlocking that.
Yes.
That's not hard.
Right.
Right? It's not difficult to do. Now, you have to put some effort in and follow rule number 1, 2, 4, 5, and definitely number 3 with the thing. But that's what I love so much about your book is like, this is so approachable. And it's like when you guys all like read through who's on the back and on the inside and talking about Dr. Aimie's work here, phenomenal. But most importantly, it's like every page I flip through sounds like someone I see in my practice, and it sounds like the people I see out in the real world, because this is all normal nervous system responses to trying to protect you.
Trauma is really just a way that our body has designed to survive what feels unbelievable, unbearable, and so very lonely. And we've all had those experiences in our life. We all have had those experiences of, I can't believe what's happening. This was never supposed to happen. Whether it was a car accident, whether it was us being born to parents who didn't know how to parent, whether it was us, whatever it was, we all have had these moments of, no, this is not what is supposed to happen in life. And it creates these unbearable sensations that make us want to disconnect from life. And that feeling of being all alone, even though we can be surrounded by people, we feel alone in what we're going through. That is, I would say, every single one of the people that you work with, Tom.
Oh my God.
Right? They have felt alone in this journey of trying to figure out what is going on. And then once they know, well, what are the answers and what can I do about it?
And it's crazy as a practitioner, because I always one is I train other practitioners to help be able to serve this population because they're so underserved and so underrepresented. But at the same time, I'm a practitioner who experiences working with these people every day. And it's like, why can't you just listen? Why can't you just believe me? But it's like what you just said, you feel alone even when you're in with your tribe.
Yes.
And I all the doctors I work with, the PAs, the nurse practitioners, naturopaths, and etc., all the practitioners at one point or another are like, I'm open arms. I'm the first person who understands, and this person goes, I feel heard, yet they still have this challenge. And so that's why I love what you said about, it's like you feel alone even though you're physically not alone, and even emotionally you're not alone. You're literally with people who get you. So
but you don't feel it.
But you don't feel it, right? So that's why I'm going to recommend that not only anyone who's a patient suffering with any chronic condition, grab your book and start working through it, do the journal work. All our practitioners out there need to be doing this for themselves first, and you need to be also doing this so that you can share it with your patients. And then I'll go be really crazy and say, I would suggest that this is sort of like the Bible for how to just live life in general. So even if you don't think you've had any of these things happen to you, you've had disappointment, you can always make it easier. Like we do a lot of this work at home. My wife and daughter and I are great, but it could be a little easier. It could be a little happier. We could feel a little safer. And I think it's like a recipe for everybody to live a happy life.
It's how I intended to write this book, actually, was I wanted it to be the manual for the human body and the nervous system.
Nice.
The manual.
And it comes through in the work. That's the thing that's so cool. And I didn't even know that. So, I mean, we know each other pretty well, and I had no clue. And it's just like nice that it comes out that way. But that's what it feels like when you read through and you start to see things. And I talk to other people who have read the book and been like, we have the same visceral reaction.
Yeah, that's it. Like I wanted to make it visceral. I wanted to make it alive and practical for people to be able to walk away and say, I can live a better life because of this book and what I now understand about my body, the nervous system, and what it does to help me survive, even when I don't think I'm going to survive this.
Well, and I was like, this is such a great conversation that we could have forever. And I know we've got some time constraints today, but most importantly, I wanted to get this message out to people so that, people go and pre-order and order The Biology of Trauma as it's coming out soon. But the important part, I remember a conversation you and I had a while ago, because like one of the things with everyone that we work with chronic conditions are like, they're just like waiting to live their life once they're better. And I was like, well, I was telling you about my message. And then Dr. Aimie goes to me, I think what you're trying to say is that the healing is in the living. And that's what I feel like this is the manual for everybody to live their life now, and healing comes from living your best life, not the other way around.
Exactly. So well said. We've got to get the focus
I
off
did
of
actually
healing.
quote you a little bit in there.
I was like, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I really like what I said back then.
Yeah, she wrote a good book.
Oh my God.
This idea that the healing happens as we decide how do I want to be more alive?
Yes.
And then we remove the blocks that are keeping us from our best health and our best selves.
And I will say, I know this as a patient. I had chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia that ultimately turned out to be from Lyme disease, babesiosis, and heavy metal toxicity. But it took me 6 years to go, the modern system that I was being groomed in medical school is broken and they don't know. I tried everything every doctor said. And then I remember one day I was staring at the wall. It's a crazy story because when I first got diagnosed with Lyme in the very beginning, my boss found me drooling on myself staring at a computer screen. And then like 6 years later, I'm staring at a wall in my apartment in medical school and I go, I know that road. I'm so sick of it. And I had no hope because everybody I talked to is just like, take more antidepressants. I'm like, they don't work. And I wasn't depressed until you couldn't help me.
Exactly.
And then I said, I know what I want my life to look like. And I know every morning I wake up telling myself that story and I'm sick and I hate it. And if I go there, I have no idea how to get there. But if I die going that direction, it's still better than going that way. And then someone handed me a DVD and then I did some research and I started doing all the work. And then I got better. But what I know is that I learned so much about the richness of life. And when I doubled down and like really just said, I love me so much that no matter what happens, even if I fall flat on my face and I don't make it, that's better trying to get there than this. So I started to actually just live life again. Then everything I needed to heal came to me in the right order. And I can say to the whole Lyme community and all the other people suffering, I was sick for over 8 years. And it took me 4-ish years to get better, but at this point, it's over 13 years with 0 symptoms. So, and I know, and I always tell people 70% of my healing came from the work that I did in here, but it was really all here, in my heart, and I didn't have the access to you, and you didn't have the book at the moment, but I know reading this, I'm like, my healing would have been so much quicker if I just understood those principles. I had to learn it the hard way, but you guys don't have to. Just go grab the book, The Biology of Trauma. I mean, Aimie, this is phenomenal. This is what the world's needed for a really long time. So thank you for writing it.
Thank you. I think it's what the world especially needs right now.
I would agree. So everyone, I'd urge you to head out everywhere where you buy books online or elsewhere, The Biology of Trauma, How the Body Holds Fear, Pain, and Overwhelm, and How to Heal It by Dr. Aimie Appigian.
Thank you, Tom.
Thanks for joining me, Aimie. Great job.